Good evening, all of you. Thank you very much, first of all, for joining me at this time in this tutorial. Really happy to see you all right now. And the ones who haven't joined in yet will be seeing my video afterwards. I would like to thank them in advance. Also, please do not forget to like and share the videos. And if you want to take the coding classes, that's my number getting reflected right below in the below of the window in which you are able to see my video. So that's the project I would like to share with you, which I have created, and it's the URL shortener. Now how it works, let me just tell you that first, and after that we'll jump to the coding part. So I'm going to access the admin panel. So that's the URL with which we can do it. And let me just bring it over here next to this YouTube. Perfectly fine. The project is running. You can see it in the command prompt. And okay, so that's how the admin panel looks like of the project. And let me just search for a website. So I am going to look for something related to Facebook. That's the URL I'm going to pick up. Right, I am copying this URL. So this is the page. Right, this is the web page, and its URL is this. I'm copying it and I'm putting it here in the input box. So you can see here there are a lot of characters in this URL, right? It's very big. Now if I want to shorten this URL, I can simply hit this shorten named button present right below this input box, and it will give me a short address of this URL. And let me just uh, see in this URLs of this admin portal. So here right on the top, an object has got created in which you can see the URL which I just inputted in this input box over here. Right, so let's use this URL which this URL shortener has generated for checking whether we'll be able to access this page or not. With this URL, so you can see I am able to access this page. So that is how this application works. So even if the URL is of, let's say, 1000 characters or 1 lakh characters, it can shorten it down to something like this, and after that we can use this URL generated by this URL shortener for accessing that particular web page to which that URL is linked, which we input over here in this input box. Right, now I would like to show you the entire code which I have used for developing this project. So basically it's a Django project, as you guys know very well. You must have seen the thumbnail also. Right, and how a Django project works, or basically what can you do with the help of Django. So if you have the knowledge of HTML, JavaScript and CSS, basically these are the three languages which one need to know if he want to develop a responsive and a very good website. All right, so these if you have the basic knowledge of these three languages and you know the basics of Python, you are ready to learn Django. So Django is a library which professionals use in multinational companies for developing such kind of projects. I shared a project, I think day before yesterday also, and that is one of the projects which was made by a professional. And definitely with these projects you can come to know about what all things the professionals do in the multinational companies like Google, Facebook, etc. So with the help of these packages like Django, Flask, you can create amazingly beautiful applications with a professional look. And with the help of these applications, you can, if you know about these applications, you can crack any interview, and you can get shortlisted in any MNCs with a very in a very easy way. So how this, let me just now show you the code of the project. So the entire code is present in this URL shortener named folder. If I'll open this folder, you can see here there are three different folders present inside this URL shortener. The first one is this shortener named folder in which the applications py files are there. Then we have this folder named templates in which the HTML file is in which an HTML file is there. And then we have this URL shortener named folder in which the project files are there. So basically these are the three folders. Right. Now, when you once you are done with creating a Django application and a project, you'll get these files which you're seeing over here right now automatically. I have not created these files. You do not have to create all these files. You will get them automatically. So when you will be learning Django from me, I'll be telling you how you can start with Django, how you can create responsive applications, real-time applications with Django. So for the big, if you are a beginner, then you can see my previous video which I shooted and posted on my channel day before yesterday. If you are familiar with Django, you know how you can create projects and applications with Django. Then you'll be able to understand the code which I am going to tell you now. So that's the HTML file which you require, right? First, why it is required? So as to get this kind of web page, right? So you have to create this kind of web page on your own using basic CSS and HTML code. You can do that very easily, and if you want you can modify it according to your requirement. Now the only thing which I require is an input box and a button over here, and there is one more thing which is a label box that I require here. So even if you do not know about CSS, you know about the basics of HTML, it will be easier. You will be able to create all these three elements if I'm not wrong, right? With CSS you can just make your app look more beautiful. Then you can see here I've created a form, and for linking this form with my Django Python code, that's the token I have used. So this is what you have to keep in your mind. Then this is the input box, and the ID of this input box is link, right? And here I have used some JavaScript coding for fetching the values which the user is going to input over here in this input box and taking it to the Python code, right? So little bit of JavaScript also you need to know if you want to develop your career in this Django field. You want to become a good software developer, successful software developer, rather I should say like this. So what I'm doing here, I've used this ID named link for this input box. Then I'm using this link ID over here for fetching the value into this link named variable, you can say, right, which the user is going to input here. So the whatever the value the user will input here, it is going to come in this link, right? And finally a token will get generated. Okay, and then if the token gets successfully generated, so it will be linked, that it will be linked to this URL, and a URL with this will get generated for us by the Python code. So you can see here in the beginning it is written localhost colon 8000 slash, so it is coming from here, and in this data we have that 5-digit what we call it token which the Python code is generating. I'm going to now show you the Python code also. So let's first come on this settings.py. So it's the Python file present in the project named URL shortener, and the things which you have to add here in this settings.py is this. So in this installed apps, it's these are some basic steps that you have to follow if you are making a Django application, right? Or if you are making a Python application, and if you, in which you are making the use of this library named Django. So whatever application you have created with whatever name, so you have to put that name over here so that your project can recognize that application. And after that, over here in this dirs of templates, you have to put the name of that folder in which your HTML coding templates are present. So my templates are present in this templates named folder. That is why I have written templates over here. This is something very basic. Then there is this folder named urls.py. So it gets created automatically when you create your this Django project. You do not, I haven't created it, neither you have to create it. It will get created automatically. Then you have to first import here include from this library, and you have to add a path with which your project can fetch the url.py file of this shortener named application you have defined inside your project. So this is the line with which you can do it very easily. Now after this, you have to come here in this admin.py. So here you have to register your this your model. You have to register. Now, in this file models.py, you can define whatever classes you want to define for your application. So I have defined this class named URL, and these are the two variables present in this class named URL. You can take it as a database, right? And inside this database we have two tables, one with name link and the second with name uuid. After that, for calling this class we need this admin.py. For registering this class we need this admin.py file. So that's the code with which you can register your classes you have defined in this models.py in this application. Okay, now after that you can move. So remember these two things, link and UUID. So these are the two things we require. What is this UUID? It is this 5-digit code which this site will generate for us, and link is this URL, right, which the user is going to input here in this input box, and finally this will be linked to this URL over here. Okay, let's come on this url.py, and rest everything is going to remain the same. You do not have to touch any other file. You can come directly in this url.py and you can define all these paths. So because I want my user to get redirected on the home page first, when he will first try to access the application on his mobile phone, so mobile phone or desktop device. So that's the code which is helping me in doing that. Views.index and name is equals to index. So views is this file. All right, there is this function named index, and how can I make the interpreter access this function? How can I tell it to execute this function? I need to use this simple command views.index, right? So if you are using something like views.index in your path, how the interpreter will read it? It will read it as there is a function named index present in this Python file named views. That is how it is going to read it. And what is the name of the function? You can write that also again using this name property. So that's the function which will be called automatically, and you can see here I have rendered a request and this index.html. So the user is going to get redirected on the home page, and then I have created two more functions, and for these two functions I have created two paths also, one for the function named create and the other for the function named go. So create is going to create for me the ID, and Go is going to link for me that ID with the URL which the user is going to input, right? And it will give me that whole URL, that shortened URL, that short URL over here. Fine. Okay, now let's come here on this views.py. So I have three different functions. I've already told you what are these functions doing. So create will see if request dot method equal to post. So this function is basically it is going to check first whether the method, whether the action associated with this form is post or not. I hope you guys know about post method, right? If you do not know, you can search for it on the internet. But what I want you guys to do is you can take the coding classes for me, so that you can get to know about all these technical terms. Definitely you are going to enjoy the classes a lot, right? I can just help you with the projects. If you find them innovative, you can you can yourself code them. Otherwise, you can take the coding classes for me. Definitely you are going to learn a lot from there. You're going to take away many things from there. The way the other students who are the part of my coding classes are learning, these kind of applications on daily basis. They are creating these kind of applications. They are learning Python, something new on daily basis. Okay, so what we are doing here using this JavaScript, we are checking that if the submit button will be pressed, then the form should be posted. Now the moment this post thing will take place, what will happen, this condition which we have defined over here in this views.py, this will become true, and the link, see you can I've already showed you, I think, this thing that ID is link of that input box, and then from here it is going to come in this link named variable. From here it will come in this link, right? So we are going to fetch the URL which the user is going to input in the input box like this over here in this Python code, and it will come in this link named variable finally. Then that's the line of code which will generate for us a 5 alphabets or 5 characters code. So this code which you are able to see over here, where is that code? That 5-digit code which I just showed you, this 5-digit code, which code is generating this 5-digit token, that's the one which is generating this 5-digit token. And this is the line of code which is linking the link with that 5-digit with this 5-digit token. Fine. And finally the changes are getting saved and the user is getting redirected on this UID. Then we have this function go. So for redirecting the user on this URL details dot link. What is this URL details? So whatever UUID we are getting, we are putting it in this pk named variable, and from there we are getting it in this URL details, and then we are linking this URL details. Right now from here the value is coming to this index.html page, and the moment we click we shoot this URL, so it is coming in this data named variable. From here it is coming in this data named variable, and the complete URL then becomes localhost colon 8000 forward slash the data. What is this data? Data is that 5-digit token which this code is generating for us. And when we are using this URL for pulling the web page linked with the URL the user has inputted here, or the user will input here, so we are able to access it, right? So that is what is actually happening, and that's the whole code I have used for creating this amazingly beautiful application. If you have any queries, anything you were not able to understand, you can take the coding classes. But if you already know about Django and still if you are facing any issues in understanding whatever I have explained in this video, you can let me know about the same in the comment section. Whenever I'll get the time to answer your queries, I'll definitely do that. Thank you so very much for checking out this video. Have a great day ahead. Bye bye and take care, all of you.